I get this feeling that you're looking into the future and there's a lot of different paths for you. There's like a lot of different ways you can move forward. There's a lot of different ways in which this thing could work out, but you're lacking the clarity. You're almost like, well, which one's the best? Which one do I really want? Which one is it that my soul wants? And it is causing a ton of confusion and doubt and a little bit of a paralysis, right? And you can't really move forward. But in today's episode, we are going to get you that clarity. So funny enough, as I was going into this episode and receiving the messages, I was like, interesting. I thought this was an episode about clarity, but it's so much of an episode about change. Because when you get clear, you're going to then commit, and then you're going to take action, and then your life is going to change. So a lot of the blocking of that clarity is coming from the result, which is a big life change. And some of us don't know if we're ready for it. We don't know if we're ready for it right now. We're not sure if we really want it. And that's what's keeping us in this place. So while it is an episode that is really meant to give you this feeling of like, okay, this is the step that I'm supposed to take, it is also to help you feel good and okay and safe about change. So bring your notebook, get your pen, feel into your heart. Let's see what clarity awaits for you. Let's get into our 7 messages. So to start off, I wanted to present the question, is there really a best path, right? Because I've done so many readings and I look into the future all the time and I can see several paths for several people. And sometimes there's people that it's like, there's just one path and that's the path they're gonna take. But often when there is so much change going on and one, way of living is ending and there's this like new way of living that's coming forward. And especially this time in the world that we're in, there's so much change happening so quickly. There are now several paths in front of people. So I wonder, is there a better one? Does it not matter? Like, can we choose whichever path and is it all going to be okay? And what I was getting was yes and no. So I was like, okay, fair. So yes, like there are several paths that like, as long as like we commit to them, we go all in, we end up in the same place in general. But there are some paths, let's say, that will take a longer period of time than others. There will be some that have like more challenges than other. And the real reason why that happens is because when we choose and where we're at in the moment of choosing this path and kind of being like, okay, this is like where I'm supposed to go, depending on where we are with ourselves, how we feel about our own confidence, how we feel about our capabilities, all that, we will choose a path that is greater or lesser. So let's say I am feeling like a 4, I'm going to choose a path that's 4. But if I can get to a place where like before I choose my path, I feel like, okay, I'm cool, I'm a 7. I can handle a 7. I'm going to live a 7 path. I'm going to get clear and move forward on this 7 path. Then that 7 path is actually going to have a little bit less of some like nitty gritty stuff. Like I can leap over some things. So it's kind of like saying, I feel like I can skip pre-kinder and kindergarten. Like maybe I can go straight to first grade. Like I'm feeling good about myself. And while it might be challenging to start off at first grade, at the same time, I'm not spending like 2 years maybe learning about colors when I feel like I already know colors, right? So that's what makes like a good path and a bad path. They all lead us to the same place. So we don't have to worry about that. But the way in which we get there can be different. And the highest path is like what we're really looking for. So maybe not even positioning the question as like, what is the best path? Or like, what is the best choice? Or like, what is the best way to move forward? We want to say like, what is the highest? And when we're saying highest, we're really meaning from a vibrational place, right? Like I am at a 7, I'm at an 8, and I want to come from there. I mean, we've all experienced this, right? Like, do you guys ever remember like dating that person that you dated when you were like feeling kind of shitty about yourself, and then you get like strong, and then later on you're like, oh my God, like why am I still with this person? Or you took a job like that and you have this client that you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy I have this client. I just like needed the money. And then, 6 months in, you're like, this is the worst decision ever because you got strong during that time and you're realizing you committed to like a 4 path, but you have increased your confidence and now you're at a 6, at a 7, and you're stuck with a 4. So we've all experienced that before. And that's really what we're trying to do here. So if you're feeling a little tired, a lot of you, I can see that you're coming from like a very exhausting time, like something has ended or something has like really drained you or tired you or exhausted you. And there's a little bit of this period of grief, rest, of even just annoyance, like I'm just so annoyed of this, or I'm so annoyed of these people, like I'm so tired of this. And I would say that if you're in that place, the most important thing right now is prioritizing rest. It's about prioritizing a break and some time to get out of that energy and into a more elevated place. So you can definitely work on getting clarity, but the clarity is truly going to come from a rest and from like releasing that. And that doesn't mean that you're supposed to from one day to the next like not be annoyed at that person that like really took from you over the last few months. It's more that you are like aware that that has to go, and you may not be able to force it, right? And that might not be the healthiest thing, but you're aware that every day it's leaving you a little bit and a little bit. You're not going to like stay there, like you're not going to be like, I'm just staying in this place. You're like, I know that I'm in this like in between place, that I'm releasing all this old stuff. I'm doing what I can to help release it, but I also can't force it. So I'm not going to make a decision right now. I'm not going to force clarity right now because my priority is to move this out of the way. And overall, a best path, which again, we're going to say the highest path, is truly about feeling brave. It's this feeling of like bravery, like very hard. It's not in the head. So when I'm saying like, oh, you might choose from a lower vantage point, that's definitely like in the mind. That's definitely like, I have to survive. I got to make this move because like this is what's going to give me money, or this is what's going to let me stay in this relationship, or this is what's going to let me stay here. That is more like, that human mind just trying to survive, where this elevated path is truly going to come from a heart place of being like, you know what? F it. Like, I'm going for it. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I just feel brave and I'm going to make this choice. And maybe some of you have already made that choice. Like I get the sense that some of you have made that choice. You know what that is, but what happens is often we get that clarity, that initial clarity, but then once we start to walk the path, it gets really scary and we get very doubtful, like while walking the path. So you think you're not clear, but you really are just like missing the bravery that you had when you initially got the clarity. Message number 2. One thing I know for sure about your clarity is that it is going to result in, and it is going to require a ton of massive change. So what I mean by that is that it's not going to be little change, right? It's not like, you know what, I think I'm going to reupholster this couch of mine. I'm looking at the couch that my dog has claimed as her own. I have this old couch where I used to do all my readings. I know I need to get rid of it, but she keeps sleeping on it and I just feel bad for her. I'm like, I'm going to take her couch away. I probably just need to get her like a little doggy bed. But I have one of those dogs that like really truly thinks she's a human, and there's like no bed good enough for her. Like she needs a full bed. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. But anyways, let's say I'm like, okay, I know I need to redecorate my office. If I say, I'm just going to take that old couch and I'm going to repurpose it, that is like the opposite of this kind of clarity. What I would have to be is like, I'm going to take that couch and I'm going to burn it. And I'm not even going to do couches. I'm going to do, I don't know, bean bags, which I'm not going to do, guys. But let's just say, I'm like really going to switch it up. I'm going to do armchairs. I'm not going to do couches anymore, something like that. It's a much bigger leap. And I'm not, this couch is beige. And I'll be like, and I'm going to do purple. So this clarity comes with much bigger leaps. I've been reading this book recently. I'm rereading it, and I'll link it for you guys in case you're interested. It's called 2X is Easier Than 10X. It's definitely a business book. It's definitely pretty boring, but I say read it until you understand the concept, or maybe you'll just understand it by me explaining to you. So the idea is that like a lot of the times we make these like 2X jumps. Again, the couch is like a 2X, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like, dip my toe into this change of changing my office, and I'm just gonna change the color of my couch. I'm gonna upholster it differently, but it's the same exact couch. That would be a 2X, right? And then a 10X is this like much bigger leap where let's say I paint all the walls, I get all new furniture, and I move everything around. That would be a 10X. And this book talks about like how you do that, and who's done it in the past, and why it works so much better, and why it's like less painful. And that's really what I'm getting from this second message. Like, one thing for sure is that this is going to cause a ton of change. So if you're looking at the thing that you're trying to get clarity on and you see yourself making changes, but they're little changes because you're too afraid of the big change, then I would say that that is causing more confusion, because the energy of this clarity, of this answer, of this direction is go big or go home. Like, it truly is. I saw like poker chips. I don't even play poker, but I was like going all in, go big or go home. So you're just not going to feel super clear until you realize that it's like a radical change. And that can be like radical change in the way that we eat. That could be radical change in the way that I work, radical change in where I live. Like, it might be like I keep trying to make this space work or this neighborhood work, and maybe it's like I need to move completely. So it's a bigger shift, and until you understand that, and like, just gotta stop messing with these small changes, my friend. Like, these small little, I'm just gonna tilt it a little to the left or tilt to the right. Like, it's just, you're not gonna find it there. So when you decide, or when you understand, like, oh man, like this is a big shift, there you're going to be more likely to start to receive the clarity that you're looking for. Message number 3, I alluded to this a little bit in the beginning of the episode. Part of why this clarity is not coming in is because it's a way to delay this change that's coming your way. Your life is about to change in such a big way, but in like the best of ways. I have goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me take a moment. And I feel like sometimes this doubt or this worry about what way to go or what is the right way to move forward is really coming from you like slowing it down. It's almost like you're creating traffic on purpose. You still have to get to where you're going. You're still going to go to where you're going. Like, it's inevitable. Like, you're going to go there, but you're like, well, let me just like add some traffic to my path so that instead of taking me 10 minutes, it takes me 20 minutes. And I think there's a important part about all this where we can look at why we're doing that. Like, why do we need a little bit more time? Like, why are we slowing down the process? I don't think it's good nor bad, but I do think it's worth looking at. I think it's worth asking the question as, what is my problem with this change, and why am I a little nervous about this change? So for this one, I'd really take some time to journal and be like, okay, if this thing became clear for me super quickly and my life changed, what am I afraid of? Like, what am I scared about? Like, what are the things that I think I'm going to lose, or what are the things I think I'm not going to handle? And that's like what needs to be looked at. Because we're going to talk about that in a second, because yes, some of us can't really handle the quick change. So there's something that we need to look at before the quick change happens. It always reminds me of like star celebrities that get like too much too quickly, especially like the kid ones. I always think about like that Britney Spears moment when she's like shaving her head. Like sometimes it's just like it's too much too fast, and in many ways, like we'll hold ourselves back from that because we don't want to be the one that's shaving our head at some point. So we need to ask ourselves, like, what are the things that are not sturdy about my life that, yeah, if something would change really quickly, then I would crumble a bit. Like, it's kind of that idea of like, if I win the lottery now, but I'm not good with money, then I'm going to lose the 10 million that I just won. It is possible to lose $10 million. But, that is almost like, that's what this is about. Like, why am I holding this back? Like, why am I making this slower? Why am I causing a traffic jam? And some of it could also be worth, like some of it feels like it's like even connected to drama, like, or like identity, kind of like, I can't believe that I'm a person that actually has it together. Like, I'm usually a person that is dramatic and, like can't make up my mind. And there's something almost that is keeping us like attached to this identity when it doesn't really have to be true. This actually happened to me recently. I'd love to share this story with you guys. So I had a past life regression recently. I think I told you guys about it. It was amazing, life-changing. I'm actually going to link Laura May's info here for past life, but also astrology readings. So the past life was amazing, and it really opened some things up in me that were stuck. But one of the most like life-changing moments for me when I was talking to her is before we did the past life, she's like, oh, can you give me your birthday and that info? Because she's like, I'm first and foremost an astrologist. Like I've been doing astrology since I was like 13, I think she said. So I send her my info, and as soon as before we go into the past life, she's talking about my placements. And she's like, yeah, you're a Cancer, but all of your placements are in the first house. And the first house is Aries, and Aries is about, XYZ. And she completely changed the way that I saw myself, because I was like, oh, I'm a Cancer. These are the things that, a Cancer does. And while I have a ton of Cancer energy, there's also an aspect of me like that is changing from this like motherly place and trying to move into what's next. But then I also fight. I'm like, yeah, but I have so much Cancer. So why am I feeling this way when maybe that's not natural to me, right? But she reframed it in a way that I was like, whoa. And what she did was she allowed me space to change my identity, right? So like what I thought was me was an aspect of me for some time, but as I grow, I'm allowed to see that same aspect from the other side, right? So it's like saying like, I've been looking at this, quarter forever, and all I see is the head. Like I've always seen the face, but now I'm deciding that I want to see it different. Now I see the tails side. It's still the same quarter, right? So this message to me was like, we're so attached to some sort of identity that is almost like the opposite of this high achieving, put together, like dream maker, brave person. That's really who we are. It's really like what is trying to come forward right now. I have goosebumps, but these identities that there probably is some truth to it, but it's like an old identity. It's like saying like, yeah, as a kid, I loved the color pink. Now that I'm 42, I'm not wearing pink. Like I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed, but I'm still the same person. Like Nikki, I am still Nikki Novo, but I'm in a different season of my life. So there's this identity that you've really claimed as your own, but it is so much bigger than what you think it is. It can evolve. It has a lot of different aspects of it. And there is a way to see yourself in this new clarity, if that makes sense. Like, yes, you are going to change. You have to change, but it's not changing who you are. It's seeing yourself from another angle. So it's like, I always say, it's like seeing, you might be looking at the back door, but now you're going to be looking at the front door, still the same house. So that is very important. And you might have to ask yourself, like, what are these identities that I'm holding on to? I was listening to a podcast episode with this famous stylist recently, and they asked her this question about like, oh, if we asked your parents, like, have you always been a high achiever even since you were a kid? Like, would your parents say like, yeah, she's always been a high achiever? And it was interesting. She was like, no, not really. Like I became a high achiever later, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's the story of the hero, right? Like same with me. Like, it's not like I was this like amazing student growing up, but then I've achieved like so much, right? Because I grew into that. And at some point I let identities go, like one identity was like, oh, I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at these things. And I can actually run a business, and there's a ton of numbers in my business, right? It's like, and the change is not that I'm amazing at math. It's like, oh, I'm interested in numbers when they catch my attention, when they're interesting. When I was a junior in high school, those numbers were not interesting to me. So I have not abandoned myself to the point that I'm like changing completely who I am. I'm just seeing myself from another angle. I'm like, it's just that the numbers were not as fun. I mean, I remember as a reader, like I love to read, but for a long time, there were just never books that interest me. And it was when I found books that were interesting that I became a reader. So letting yourself change, letting your identity change, letting yourself see like other aspects of an identity that you're really holding on to. And it feels like it's a tightened up identity that's trying to come forward. Like maybe you're like, I'm an artist. But on the other side of this change, it's like a powerhouse, which is still an aspect of the artist. Like an artist who is really expressing their talent and like showing up to the devotion and the discipline of an artist will look like a powerhouse at the end of their hero's journey. So the powerhouse did not abandon the artist. The powerhouse is just the artist in full bloom. So what are you in full bloom? And now start to identify as you in full bloom so that this clarity can come forward. Message 4. One word for you: responsibility. This is one of the biggest things that's holding up this clarity, is the idea that when this clarity comes forward, there will be responsibility. And it's true that this clarity comes as quick as you are willing to mature. What does maturing mean? To me, maturing is really about emotions. I feel like it's when I can move through emotions quicker. I was seeing this yesterday in my kids. So Oliver, my 11-year-old, when he was little, he was horrible at transitions. So like, whether it was like transitioning him from play to bath time, like, I mean, it was horrible. And I was like, what in the world? I thought he would never get better. Actually, like, I think it was pre-K 3. His teacher was saying that they started off like doing Play-Doh, and it was time to change from Play-Doh to the next thing, like to numbers or something. And they were like, okay, guys, put the Play-Doh away. And Oliver just screamed out. He goes, oh, shit. And I was like, oh, no. Like when your kids repeat like the words you say, and you're like, damn, that's like house talk, guys. You don't bring that outside of the house. But yeah, I say shit a lot. So anyways, that was hilarious. But that's how bad he was at these like transitions. Like he really emotionally was like, I don't like these transitions. And the other day I noticed that Ethan, my younger one, was having a really hard time with the transition. He had some screen time, and then we were like, okay, it's time to get off the screens. And that transition was really hard. And Oliver had the same screen time, and Oliver was able to transition just fine. I was like, oh, it's amazing. Like he's grown up, he's 11. Like he can transition now. Like, and I just thought that was going to be part of his personality forever. And then I'm like, yeah, Ethan's only 7. He's still learning how to transition. Like that's normal. Like he will eventually mature like Oliver. So that is what I mean about maturity, right? It's like being able to handle that emotion, be like, oh, okay, my mom is telling me that like can't do screens anymore. It's okay. I know I'm going to get it again. There's something in Oliver that he's either talking to himself, he might be reasoning with himself, he might be giving himself like logical explanations as like why it's okay to transition. It's like, we're going to see this again, where Ethan still can't do that, right? Like Oliver must have a better self-talk at this point, or discipline, or maybe he has learned to make like a shift in his body. I'm not sure. I didn't ask him how he did it. Ethan does not have that yet. So this message is about responsibility. Yes, we are going to gain responsibility, but it's more about an emotional maturity than it is about adding more stuff to our plate. And that is like, that's why we're like not very clear here. So because we're thinking that the responsibility means more work or more overwhelm, when it's really like, no, I need to be able to like understand my emotions, shift out of them, move into them, compartmentalize, like move quicker, like go greater, be more mature. And that's the kind of responsibility. So yesterday we walked into our Airbnb, the one that was hit by the flood when Helene came. I hadn't seen it in months. Benny's been working on it, but it was like such a disaster. I mean, he has completely finished it, and he has somebody painted and everything. And I walk in there, and I instantly was overwhelmed, because when we originally set up that Airbnb, I was the one that put the decor and all that, and I just like don't have the energy to care for it the way that I was caring for it the first time around. And Benny and I have really been like, should we sell this home? Like, do we keep renting it? Holding it long term is definitely like the smarter thing, and we can make more money and all that. But at the same time, we're like not sure if we want the responsibility. So I remember like leaving there, and I felt like I needed to clean it. I felt like I needed to dust everything. I felt like I needed to redecorate. And I was like in a bad mood right after that. And then I was like, no, I'm going to move out of that immature thought or that immature emotion. You don't have to. It does not need to be perfect. It's an Airbnb. It's not a complete reflection of you. It is a business. And I kind of like talked my way through it. I'm like, you're going to hand this off. Like there's already somebody who wants, we have a couple people that we know that want the job to like handle all that for the Airbnb. I'm like, we're going to hand that off. Even if that means like less of a profit margin, it doesn't matter. It's a business. And I had to like raise my maturity, and like, this is not a reflection of like, me, of like, oh, I'm trying to make these little house for, a friend to come over. It's like, no, this is a business. So there's a different way of looking at this. And I had to raise in that maturity. And that is why I can now handle more responsibility, which is like having that property. So if I can stay there and have that maturity about that property, then I can hold the responsibility. So the responsibility that's going to come from your clarity is not more on your plate. It's going to come from seeing this from a higher standpoint and being able to have the right inner mother that can help you move through these emotions and move through them quickly. So one tip I got here was look at your life and see where you are drowning the most. There's always these places that we drown. And sometimes, like, there was things that I was drowning at when my kids were 3 that now, of course, me with a 19-year-old and 11-year-old, I'll look at somebody drowning at 3 and I'll be like, oh, like you have to mature into being a mom and it takes time and all those things, but I would no longer drown in that anymore. I also don't have a 3-year-old. So that's what this is about. So find that thing. Like maybe it's like, I really drown every evening when I have to make dinner. I really drown, emotionally when I have to do this with my kid or this is my business or whatever it may be, and just work on that area and be like, okay, how do I not drown in this anymore? Is it the way I'm thinking? Is there something I'm eating that's causing me to think this way? Am I too tired and I'm not resting? Okay, so I need to get better rest. Like finding the puzzle pieces in this one little area is going to change your life because it's going to elevate your maturity. And as you elevate your maturity, you're going to elevate your responsibility and you're going to be able to hold more. And sometimes like the reason you can't see what's clear here is because you're meant to like have a lot. But if you can't hold a lot, because our emotions can't hold a lot, or that our problem solving is not allowing us, that we have like a lack of problem solving, then we can't hold enough, then we can't move to this next level. So it's okay. How we do one thing is how we do everything. So we don't have to think about it in the big picture. Think about it in one aspect of your life and seeing how you can undrown. How can you actually swim and then ultimately maybe even be like a beast at swimming in that area? So just one little thing. That's going to be your homework if this message really spoke to you. Number 5. Sorry, not sorry, guys, but the universe is not going to do it for you. I felt some of you being like, I'm just going to wait until the universe delivers it to me. Like the universe is going to make it happen. So making it happen could be like, I know I need to let go of this employee, but like, I don't really know if it's the right thing to do. I don't have clarity on it. So I'm just going to wait until the employee maybe leaves herself, like she leaves the company. It's like the universe is like, nope, not going to happen that way. Actually, it's not the universe. It's like, it's you, it's the higher self, it's the divine. And the reason why is because the same way a parent might not do something for their kid because they don't want to enable their kid, they want their kid to learn. You're in that situation here. That's not always the truth. The universe does a ton for us every once in a while. Like it'll do what we cannot do for ourselves, of course, all the time. But in this case, where this is all about making decisions. This is all about moving forward. This is all about committing and making a decision and moving forward on something. You are going to have to do it yourself on this one. And I think that in itself can maybe give you some clarity. Like if we're waiting around for something to save us, like Papa Dios. I used to always love that in school. Be like, dear Papa Dios. Guys, translation. What is that? Like Father God, I guess, like Papa, and then like God, Dios. And it's like you're like praying to this like, I don't know, fairy godmother or something. And while I am like so spiritually connected and always ask, I always use prayer and things like that. It's like, Papa Dios is not going to do it, guys. Not on this one. Like not on this one. In any other situation, perhaps, yes. Other situations, absolutely. This one, no, because this is about you elevating because of a choice that you made. So if you can say like, okay, cool, that's clear. Like it's not going to happen for me. It's not, there's this one in this case is going to require my decision. Then at least I can rule out that somebody's going to come and save me, that something is going to come and scoop me up, or that something's going to give me like such a strong sign that I'll know where to go. I don't know exactly why, but it just seems like this time in your life, there's an opportunity for such a maturity and an up level that you need it. That somebody, if somebody would come and save this, or Papa Dios would come and save you, it would be stealing this moment from you. So I remember when Benny was getting out of sobriety, and maybe this is, excuse me, when he was getting out of, when he was in the beginning of his sobriety journey, and maybe this is like something that they say in AA, I have no idea, but he said to me, I was talking about somebody that had nothing to do with addiction, but, I guess in one way we're all, addicts in certain ways. And he said, Nikki, you can't steal somebody's rock bottom. Like, that's what I've learned in AA. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because like, when did Benny actually make change? It's like when I decided to let him hit his rock bottom. Like, I didn't scoop in, I didn't do the enabler thing that I had been doing for so long. So this is that, like, the divine is like, I'm not going to scoop in, because there's so much transformation that is going to come from this moment. And I don't think it's not a rock bottom by any means, but it's like an opportunity for you to be like, I made that change, and to take full credit for it, to be like, oh no, my bravery, like my strength, my decision made this happen. Like, I did that. And that's really where it's coming from. The divine's like, no, I want you to take full credit for it. I'm going to support you. You can give me credit for the support that comes along the way on the path, but I want you to be like, I did this for myself. Message number 6, there's some sort of emotion that is keeping you here as well. We talked about this a little bit about like the rest, and I've talked about like, some of us need rest, but if you are kind of mistaking rest for staying in an emotion, we just kind of have to clear that. And it could be, I feel like it's guilt. I feel like it's some shame. I feel like it's like resentment too. Like, I'm just like, oh, I'm so mad at these people. I'm like just so over these people. That's keeping you here. So you need a little bit of a cord release. We do have a cord release meditation in the subscription, so check that out. We'll link it as well. It's about like releasing from other people, but you can also say like, I want to release from the shame of this. I want to release from like the guilt of this, and really clean the energy. Like, it needs to be clean, and that rest period will be less. It's almost like the drain is not really coming from that you need more time to rest. The drain is coming from the repetitive emotions. Like, I wake up every day with resentment in my body. I wake up every day with guilt in my body, and I've felt it long enough. It felt juicy, it felt good. It's a really cool way to like delay things. It's a really cool way for people to feel bad for me. Like, we love to sit in those juicy, yummy emotions that don't cause us to be brave. And, it's a great excuse, but I'm done. I'm cool, because the lack of clarity is more annoying than the annoyance of like having to stand up and like do what I need to do. So being willing to let go of this emotional drain that came from the past, letting that go so you can move forward. This can be done with the cord release meditation that I mentioned, that's in the subscription. This is, you guys, I remember I mentioned Laura in the last few episodes, who is my go-to energetic healer. She can do that. Sometimes like 30 days of walking in nature, like nature can take it from you. So find your way, but be dedicated to letting this go, because that's actually where the energy is going to come from. Motivation, energy, that spark that you need is going to come from there. So there has to be a dedication to releasing this emotion. And finally, message number 7, your clarity is going to come from momentum. I'm excited about this one. That's why, like, I'm telling you, some of us are putting the brakes on it, because like, once you pick up the momentum of this clarity, it's going to go so fast. And that's why I was like, we need to look at like time. We need to look at these emotions, like all these things that I shared, earlier messages. I feel like that has to happen first. But if some of you are like, yes, I've worked through that, I've done that, I'm on it, then I think move to 7. And it's really about momentum and focus. So where you might say, I'm trying to get clarity in my work, but I don't want to be a workaholic, you might almost do workaholic things right now, because it is calling you so much. It makes me feel like there's some mornings that I'll wake up and I'll go straight to my computer because there's words in my head. Like, it's just something is writing itself, and my kids will be like, where's mom? And like, Oliver will be like, she's writing. And it's just like, I don't mean to do that. I want to wake up and make breakfast for my kids, but sometimes like the muse calls and I have to go, and I have to like follow that momentum. So you have to be available for the momentum here. You have to be available for the focus. this might not be a time in your life where you can have like boundaries around this like clarity that's trying to come forward. Like you may have to throw yourself into this clarity, into this path when it starts to call you. So to not judge yourself, I guess, if you see yourself like consumed with this, because once it catches momentum, it's just gonna take you, and you might have to rearrange other things in your life. Like you might be like, oh, I can't like volunteer at the school as much as I used to like right now because like this thing is like really calling my attention, or I'm getting very clear about this. Like just my house, I'm totally redoing it and it's just like happening so quickly. So I can't make dinner as much as I used to. You have to be available for that. And it's not going to be like a moment of balance. It's not going to be a moment where I can balance all the things, because it's going to catch momentum and then it's going to have a life of its own. So it needs you for that beginning focus and momentum, but then it's going to have a life of its own. So don't judge yourself. So that also may be like, I thought I was making this shift so that I had more time for myself, but it's taking a lot of time for me. If it's taking time from you, but you're setting up a system or you're setting up a structure, then that's how you know, like, no, this is going to catch momentum and live on its own. But right now it really, really needs you. So look for that momentum feeling. To me, the momentum is going to come from like a focus on knowing that this is working, that this is coming, that this is getting clearer. Like every day I'm getting clearer, like I'm getting closer. It's that feeling. Like that's the feeling of momentum. Do you see my hands? Somebody on my team was like, oh, maybe we should give Nikki a mic, like to hold a mic. And then I think it was Kat who was like, you can never give Nikki a mic. Like she uses her hands so much to express herself. Yes, these hands like have a lot to say. So momentum, this is the momentum if you see me on camera. And that is the energy of what this clarity needs. And it's so excited. It wants to work with you. It kind of gives me a muse kind of vibe. Like it is musy. It is seductive. It's like, let me take you here. And once you commit to it and like just, work through the things that we talked about, you're not even gonna have to like amp yourself up. It's like that doubt's gonna go away because she's very fun. Like once you click into this, like she's just like a hot chick. Like you're like, yes, she's a lot of fun. So you gotta jump over that. Like it's almost like, oh, I don't know if I want to open my heart to this guy. And then you start opening up your heart to the guy and then you have like amazing sex forever and ever. That's the vibe, guys. So just let her in and work through these things that we talked about. Let her in and then it's going to be good. Okay? I love you. May this bring you a ton of clarity, a ton of expansion, and I will see you in the next episode.